So I was driving my kids to school today and I was thinking about something that I don't think I've ever just made a video about and talked about. And I should, because I'm realizing more and more that this is not something people always understand about human sexuality, and it's a rule that I have lived by throughout my life. And when I say I've lived by it, I mean I have lived by this rule. I have made choices in my life based on this rule. When I was working as an exotic dancer, I earned my money following this rule. This was one of the governing rules of my life when it came to human attraction, human sexuality, and human sexual behavior. And so I think it's important to share that with people. It should be very, very obvious. Like, I'm going to say the rule, and you're going to be sitting there going, really? This is what this whole video is about? But people don't understand this. And so people make decisions about sex, they make decisions about sexuality and attraction, and they think they understand what's going on, but then they get confused because they don't understand what's going on. This is a good baseline rule for understanding all human sexual attraction. If you want to know what's going on when it comes to human sexual attraction, apply this rule to it and see if it fits. Now, there's going to be an exception to every rule. That's the one rule that I always apply. Is there an exception? Yeah, I'm sure there are some exceptions, particularly in cases where individuals are mentally ill or they've had certain life experiences that have changed their perception of the world around them. However, as a general rule, especially when you're talking about the broad population of the world around you, this is a really good rule to apply. And it is very simple. And I'm not selling anything. Usually when people are like, oh, I have one rule and it's really simple, they're selling something. I'm not selling anything. The rule is very simple. It is, what is healthy is beautiful. What is beautiful is sexy. Very, very simple rule. Those three things: healthy, beautiful, sexy. One equals the other, always. Obviously, we're talking about humans, and we're talking about human sexuality, so we're not talking about healthy trees being sexy, obviously. And, we're talking about reproductively capable humans, so we're talking about adults. So we're kind of narrowing that niche down a little bit, but, in adults, what is healthy is going to be beautiful. What is beautiful is going to be sexy. This rule applies to everything. So in order to understand how to apply this rule, again, it's really, really simple. You have to understand that a human being is the sum of their component parts. And so a person is not just a person when it comes to human attraction and sexuality. A person is a combination of visual cues and markers, visual, auditory, sensory cues and markers that they're giving off, so smells as well. They're giving off all these cues to the world around them constantly. It is a non-stop onslaught of social cues that we are giving to each other all the time as we exist in the world around us. Humans are extremely social creatures, so could you please stop? My goodness, you're just making so much noise today. And so you have situations where things that you would think would not be sexy end up being weirdly sexy. Can you not? No, bad kitty. End up being weirdly sexy. So, for example, there's the health at every size movement, and a lot of people look at that and say, well, that's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and it's ridiculous because people who are obese are more prone to disease because it is not healthy for a body to carry around massive amounts of excess fat. It's hard on the joints, it's hard on the heart, it's hard on the organs, it's hard on the body. It is not healthy. And so excessive fat in and of itself is not healthy. Are there people with fat fetishes? Yes, because there's an exception to every rule. But in and of itself, it is fundamentally not a healthy thing. Now, anybody who understands BMI knows that there's a big range of healthy bodily weight. I'm talking about like excessive, extreme, unhealthy obesity. It's not attractive. But there are health at every size, models out there. There are plus size models out there. And they can sometimes look extremely sexy. Why? Well, because a human being is not just a human being. A human being is a combination of many, many sexual signals that they are constantly giving to all the other human beings around them. And you do this as an adult, this is going to continue all the way up until the point that you die. So old people are giving off these sexual signals to the world around them. They might not necessarily be signaling the things they want to be signaling, but they're signaling things anyway. Human beings are constantly signaling these things to each other. Human beings are constantly assessing one another on a sexual level, whether we want to or not. This is how human beings work. We are very, very social creatures, and sex is a huge part of our existence because that's how we reproduce. That's how our species survives. So we're very sexual creatures, and we are constantly evaluating each other in this way. Also, because we're very social creatures, sexuality creates a sense of status. If a person is fit and healthy and beautiful and sexy, they're going to have a higher social status because they're going to be more desirable as a mate and as a member of society. So, again, healthy is beautiful, is sexy. We just naturally respond positively to beautiful people. A lot of people say it's some sort of ism, like ableism or beautyism. I don't know what kind of term they use to it, but basically there's some sort of ism that's applied to it where it's like, oh, well, you're being prejudicial because you're treating the beautiful person more nicely. Humans can't help it. We don't even know we're doing it half the time. We just respond. I've seen it happen with people. Like, I've seen men responding to beautiful women because I hang out with men all the time, and I'll sit there and I'll watch them all just respond to a beautiful woman, and it's wonderful because it's wonderful and it's terrible at the same time. I'm getting older, so I'm not as striking as I used to be, and so I'm kind of faded into the background more, which honestly, that's kind of what I always wanted anyway, so that's a good thing in a way. Do I wish I was still just young and beautiful and brimming over with attractiveness? God, those were good days. I want them back, but they're never going to come back. So in the meantime, I'm going to try and look at the bright side. I can hang out with a group of men, and I don't cause this reaction anymore, or at least I don't cause it as frequently. When a beautiful woman walks into the room and all the men kind of just turn, it's like I'm just sitting there watching them, and it's like, you guys are fascinating. Human beings are fascinating. Human sexuality is fascinating. But yeah, when you get health at every size models, you get these plus size models, and it's like, well, she's still sexy, so fat must be sexy, right? And it's like, no, because a human being is a multitude of signals that they're giving off, and every human being is a sum of their component parts when it comes to sexuality. So a fat woman, fat being unhealthy, it's not a healthy aspect of a human being, who has beautiful skin and perfectly applied makeup, so she looks blushing and healthy and glowing, and her eyes look really dark and sultry. This is going to give sexual signals to anybody who sees her, and they're going to look at her and be like, well, yes, she's overweight, but clearly she's got this blush of fertility and health and youth, and this indicates to me that sexually she is in very good condition. If she's got long, flowing, lustrous hair, because I mean, I look at these plus size models, health at every size models, they look flipping gorgeous, Yes, they're overweight, but if you look at their faces are youthful. Their hair is just perfectly done. It's long and flowing and thick, and thick hair is a wonderful indication of health. I realize this as I have the most interesting texture obsession with short hair. I was driving my kids to school this morning, like I said, and I leaned my head back against the car seat, and it was like, there isn't a massive chunky ponytail back there. Oh, so nice to just not have bulk around your head sometimes. Like, every once in a while, I just want a vacation from that shit. So this is my vacation. It grows back, y'all. I hope you know that. It grows back. But, no, I mean, thick, long, flowing, lustrous hair is an indication that you've been consistently getting enough vitamins and protein to support that kind of a structure on your head. It's an indication, again, health, youth, vitality. People think that gray hair indicates age, which it does, but what they don't realize is that hair health also indicates whether or not you've been fed enough food. Like, hair is kind of a luxury item. I mean, we use it and it's useful and it has utilitarian purposes, but it's also a sexual signal. Think about a lion's mane. They do that to attract attention and to show off. But humans do that too on a very basic level. I'm not saying like hair texture as in, oh, a specific texture like straight hair versus curly hair. What I'm saying is healthy hair. The formula is simple, and you have to understand the simplicity of the formula makes it very broad and all-encompassing. What is healthy is beautiful. What is beautiful is sexy. You respond to these things on a very subconscious level. When you see it, you recognize it because your brain is wired to recognize it. So it's not just straight-haired people when I talk about hair texture. It's anything that indicates health. And so, obviously cutting off my hair was not a great way to advertise that I'm healthy and sexy and beautiful, but oh my God, the convenience factor is good. And there are so many other things about me that are sending signals out to you guys and to the people around me, whether I want them to or not. Is my skin healthy? Skin's a big one. I was talking with my husband one day and I was like, well, everybody says that the brain is the biggest sexual organ. And he's like, it's not. I was like, what? He's like, the skin is. And I was like, oh yeah, that is a big organ. Yes, it is. It's an interesting way to look at skin. It's an interesting way to understand skin. Skin indicates health to everybody around us. Skin indicates a lot of things. Wrinkles, facial expressions. We have this delicate skin on our face, very delicate. And it shows so much about us. So right now I'm having some allergies. My eyes are kind of puffy and red. The eyes themselves are red, so that would indicate, maybe I'm not in the best of health right now. But the puffiness, oh my God. Like, oof. All right, I'm not as young as I used to be. That's something that you guys are going to pick up on, whether you want to or not, whether you're aware of yourself picking up on it or not. And it's not going to be one of those things like you're going to look at it and consciously think about it. It's a subconscious thing. Your brain is calculating and tabulating all these different elements of me as a person when you look at me and making this assessment, whether or not you're even aware of it making this assessment. It happens on its own, simultaneously, whenever you interact with any other human being. You are constantly assessing them for, are they healthy? Okay, well, if they're healthy, they are beautiful. If they're beautiful, they're kind of sexy. All humans. Older humans. Old humans are doing this. And the sad thing is, as you get older, you become less healthy and less reproductively viable. And so, when you get to be quite old, you're not as healthy. And that's just part of life. It's unfortunate and sad. You're very, very old. You're not going to be healthy enough to go out and do hard manual labor or fight in a war. You're not going to be healthy enough to bear children. You're old, you're feeble, you're nearing the end of your life. It's visually very apparent. People react to that as well on a very subconscious level. This is how human beings operate. And so if you want to understand, am I sexy? When you're looking in a mirror, am I sexy as an individual? And you're asking yourself that question, ask yourself that question and then apply the formula to it. Maybe you're looking at yourself and saying, I don't like my nose. My mom always complained about her nose. She didn't like it. I don't like my nose. Okay, fine. So you don't like your nose. Say that's a point that works against you. For whatever reasons you think it's an unattractive nose. I won't argue with you. I don't know you. But this hypothetical you. Anyway, so your nose is unattractive. Very well. One point that is not in your favor. Does it matter? Well, in the grand scheme of things, it might not, because a human being is a sum of their component parts. So you have to do the math there. Nose, take 1 point off. Healthy skin, add a point back on. Healthy hair, add a point back on. Bright, shining eyes that are healthy and alert, add another point back on. Add a couple. Eyes are good. Are you alert? Are you energetic? Is your behavior healthy? Is your posture healthy? Are you moving around in a way? Is the way you move healthy? Does it indicate that you have high energy, that you've been sufficiently fed today? You're not starving to death? Okay, good. That's a point in your favor. If you want to understand human attraction, just stick this formula on everything and ask yourself, does it work? Don't take my word for it. Try applying the formula to the world around you. And then try applying it to mental health and mental and social behaviors. Try applying it to your own social behaviors. Try applying it to other people's social behaviors. Try applying it to incels' social behaviors. You think all these incels who are running around, maybe you're one of them for all I know, you're sitting there and you're frustrated because you think the way I look automatically locks me out of the sexual competition. Does the way you look lock you out of the sexual competition, or is it your attitude? Is it your behavior? Is it the multitude of subtle social cues that you're giving off to potential mates that says, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve to have a mate. I don't deserve to have a beautiful woman. I'm not worthy of this. Because if you're giving off those cues, women aren't going to want you. Because what is healthy is beautiful, and what is beautiful is sexy. And if you're not giving off healthy signals to women, they're not going to find you sexually attractive. And women are not going to have sex with someone they find sexually unappealing. Anyway, so that's the formula. It's very simple. It's very easy. Apply it to the world around you and just see how well it works out. See if it makes sense to you. If it does make sense to you, give me a comment. If it doesn't make sense to you, give me a comment. I'd love to do a follow-up video on this one, talking about all the ways the formula applies or doesn't apply, exceptions to the rule, because there are exceptions to every rule. I think it's fascinating, but this is something that I've really lived by for a very long time. When trying to go up on stage and be sexually appealing to an entire crowd of people, because that's how I made my money, I applied this rule. Is there anything about me that doesn't look healthy? Okay, what do I do to hide that thing? What do I do to mask the fact that this thing about me is unhealthy? So, for example, allergies, my eyes are kind of red and puffy, might get some clear eyes or something and like drop that in my eyes to just kind of try and control this. Maybe take some allergy medications so that my eyes aren't quite as red and puffy, things like that. You control the things that are unhealthy. You kind of moderate the things that are unhealthy about yourself, because everybody's got flaws. All humans are human, therefore they are flawed. But trying to maximize the things about yourself that are healthy and therefore beautiful and sexy, while trying to kind of mitigate the damage done to that overall formula by controlling things about yourself that are unhealthy. So, taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair, taking care of your basic physical fitness, brushing your teeth, getting enough sleep, basic things. Self-care is important. Health is important. Eat a healthy diet. Mind-blowing effects on that one. Get enough exercise. Really affects you unbelievably. Like the amount of the effect of regular exercise on human beings is just off the charts. If you read up on it, it's amazing what exercise will do to you physically but also mentally. It's amazing. It's the best drug out there because it's free. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope this helps some of you just to understand like what's going on with human attraction. And I'll talk to you guys later.